Right, hello, welcome to a brand new series for a brand new channel, and today we are looking at Fulham. Now, most people would consider Fulham's performances in the Premier League last season as subpar at best, and that's being generous. But I figured to do a rebuilding series, it would be good to look at a team like Fulham. We're using a new database. This is the database by Steve85. I looked at a couple of others, but this is definitely the most comprehensive one. It has all the transfers up until literally the 6th of September. There shouldn't have been many transfers since the start of September, but if there was any loan moves, they're now in here. So that means Fulham no longer have Mitroglou, which is good because it makes the game more realistic. We're also using kit patches, as you can see here, as well as some 3D patches as well. We have 3D kits too, for certain teams, not all of them. The links will be in the description for that. We do have a logo pack. I can't remember the name of the logo pack because I downloaded it several years ago for FM13, but I'll dig it out for you and I'll add that in the description of a later video. The idea here is using this new database. It's not going to be perfect, hence why it says 2nd of July 2013, but we will get there in the end. All it does is it is essentially as if last season never happened, although of course the results of last season are in, hence why Fulham are in the Sky Bet Championship. Now then, I just wanted to take you through a little bit of what we have in terms of changes to the database for a team like Fulham in this case, before we come back at the end of the transfer window and I can show you what I've done going forward. The aim of this series is to get Fulham back to the Premier League and hopefully turn them into a Premier League force. Not that they ever were, but I feel that it's a club with a decent ownership and a decent youth structure that could probably do that in the future. So, we will start by looking at the squad. Now then, the senior squad, this is not the right setup, right. Okay, right, that's better, right. Senior squad. We still have the likes of Brian Ruiz, although he hasn't played for Fulham in real life, he is technically still at the club. So he could be a useful player. I may decide to cash in on him. It depends. I mean, I like to play a system with essentially a shadow striker, and I'm not entirely sure how well he can play in that position, but let's just have a look actually. Shadow striker. For this level, I mean, his work rate certainly leaves something to be desired, but that is a fair reflection of his real life ability. He tended to stroll around the pitch a little bit like Berbatov, not really doing a great deal. Tackling is really poor, but then he's a flair player, so I guess that is not that expected. I mean, it's still good for the role. First touch and finishing, decent. First touch especially very good, and composure, not bad either. Passing and technique, off the ball work, very, very good. Definitely want to try and keep hold of him. Hopefully we'll be able to. Obviously taking up a massive chunk of wages, but if he is one of the most highly paid players at the club, then it might not be such a bad thing if we can keep him on board. Right, this is the standard tactics that Fulham will play. Let's just do a quick pick so it will show us our best 11 in theory at the moment. Now, that can't be right, but I'm guessing this is based on condition. I'll need to look at this properly before we get into the game fully, but changes you'll notice. Marcelo Trotter is no longer on loan from Brentford. The likes of Chihi, I don't know if I'm saying that correctly, are now involved in the game. Hoogland, Staphylidis, and also, this is a relatively recent transfer. Fulham must have signed this guy very, very recently. Gabor Kirali, some of you from Premier League days might remember him as the goalkeeper from Crystal Palace, who had the tracksuit bottoms back in something like 2003. But he's 37 years old, but he is a lot better than any other goalkeeper at the club. Comparing him to sort of Jesse Jorinen and Marcus Bettinelli, he's just a massive amount better. So we will definitely be keeping hold of him. I won't be playing a system like this. We'll be using essentially a kind of 4-5-1, but it's more like a 4-2-3-1 sort of system. I'll show you that in the later part of this episode, once we've actually signed some players that can play that ideal system. Right. The aim this season, obviously, is to get us promoted. That is the task set forward to us by Shade Khan. we're expected to win promotion for the Championship. It doesn't say whether we have to win the Championship or not, just to win promotion from it. Our wage budget is, well, we've got a huge wage budget, but even if I dump that all onto transfer, it only gives us 2.2 million, so we may have to do some wheeling and dealing and maybe sell someone like Brian Ruiz, who knows. Although Mitroglou is out on loan, as you can see from here. Nope, wrong one. Loans. Right. We have quite a few players out on loan, actually. Kacaniklic is at Copenhagen. It's a strange one. I'd like to try and get him back, ideally, at the end of the year. I don't know if we can recall him just yet, or whether that would cost us a load of money. Tonicliff's fine. Costa Stavridis we have on loan from Leverkusen. And Stekelenburg is at Monaco, which is good because they're contributing a huge amount to his wages, and hopefully we can sell him at the end of the year unless we get promoted back to the Premier League. Kostas Petroglou is also out on loan at Olympiacos, the club we signed him from back in January. Now, something I did see earlier was that he has a clause in his loan deal with Olympiacos that allows them to buy him at the end of the period for 13 million quid, which is great and all that, but if we were back in the Premier League, it wouldn't be a bad idea to have a striker like that we can just bring back from on loan and be like a new signing and essentially just be paying the wages. So, right, we're going to come back after the transfer window has shut, and I will show you the signings I've made and the setup that we're going to be using this season. In fact, we'll come back before the first day of the season. I'll prepare the squad for then, and we will come back for the first game. Okay, see you in a minute. Right then, guys, welcome back. We are now on the 4th of August, which is the first day of the Championship season, allegedly. On the Sunday, so we are the last team to play this weekend, so everybody else has already played, which is why at the top it will say that we are 15th in the Championship, so that won't be of much concern so far. Now then, we didn't have a great deal of transfer budget, if I'm honest. We were working with about £1 million. I managed to bump it up slightly by putting down squad bonuses somewhat, since I don't really see any effect to team morale through changing them, so it's worthwhile to get a little bit of extra transfer money in. But even that only earned us maybe another million or so. Well, tops that. In fact, it was more like 900,000. And it was very difficult to attract players. There was one particular player who I was very interested in from Norway who could play in both fullback positions. I thought I'd got him signed up for £450,000, but in the end he went to a German Bundesliga team, and frankly, why wouldn't you? If you choice between Bundesliga and second division in England, what are you going to choose? And they offered him more money, which is probably more likely the reason he left to go there instead. However, we have managed to sign 2 players, which may not seem like a great deal, but to be fair, Fulham have strengthened quite a lot in the summer, signing players along the lines of Ross McCormack and quite a few players across the back and the middle. However, they were still lacking in certain positions, which is the positions I've identified and tried to fill. The first of these players is this man. He is a Norwegian by the name of Thomas Drager, and originally the idea for Drager was to play him out on one of the wings, because we were lacking depth there because of the fact that Kacaniklic has obviously gone out on loan to Copenhagen and I have no method of recalling him. However, upon closer inspection, Drager isn't the best winger, but he can still play in those positions, and we could probably train him to play in those positions. But he's also young and has a lot of potential to become a decent Barclays Premier League attacking midfielder, which is good. However, his strongest position is in the centre of midfield, and he can play as a shadow striker. Not the best, but he still has plenty of room to grow, and will make a decent backup to Brian Ruiz should he get injured at some point in the season, or just stop trying, as is his wont. So Drager, £450,000 from Tromsø in Norway, who I believe we actually have affiliate links with in some way. I'm not entirely sure. I'll have to look that up another time. But just to strengthen the midfield, I did look at a couple of other players. Tried to get hold of Emmanuel Frimpong on a free transfer, but he wanted some ridiculous amount in wages that I honestly have no idea how, no matter how dense you are, you're not getting that. The signing I'm most proud of is this one here. I believe he's Danish. Yeah, Danish. Jesper Julesgaard. And he's, again, 24 years old. I think we got him relatively cheap, really, when you look at his value now, although that, of course, would have been inflated by the price we paid for him plus his contract now. But we managed to sign him for 1.2 million. Now, the great thing about Julesgaard is that, firstly, he can play in so many different positions. The idea is for mainly him to be playing in this left position, because I've identified it as a weakness in the current Fulham team. And, as you can see, he's definitely better than Kay Vossa, but also has the potential to play in any number of different positions. In fact, he can even play up front. I mean, not particularly well, but the point is, it's nice to have that option. He's a very versatile player, with a lot of potential, and I'm very, very pleased to bring him into the club, just to create a little bit more depth. As you can see, we do actually have his face in the game. I do have a face pack, but it was 6 point something gigabytes, and lately I've been running out of hard disk space on this computer, so I've had to remove it. When I either get a new laptop or find a way to use it off of my big external hard drive, which I'm currently recording all this to, then I will put it back into the game, and that should give us a huge amount of face, and that's the DF11 face pack, so which you can download. Just Google it and you'll find it relatively easy, but I'll put a link in the description anyway for that. Basically, the plan in terms of showing you what's going to be going on at Fulham this year is going to be done through, well, I had hoped that we could do a live com in every episode. However, I've not yet been able to test whether my computer is able to record and play the 3D matches at the same time. So I may do some test recordings in the future to find out if that's possible, but for now it will just be perhaps not every month, but coming back preparing for big fixtures. In fact, no, we will do every month. That makes perfect sense, because then we've actually got a chance to get a decent number of fixtures and under our belt in every month. And until I can actually play a live com, then there's no point in coming in before a big game anyway, because it won't have any kind of real effect on the series. Right, I guess the last thing we should probably do before we head off and play the first game of the season against Leeds is, well, no, we'll look through the pre-season fixtures that we played. We played against Mainz, and as you can see here, Scott Parker scored our only goal of the game, because Scott Parker is captain of Fulham this year. We have also appointed Ross McCormack as the vice-captain. Next up we play the Israeli side, whose name I am going to try and pronounce in a minute when I can get the longest version of it. It's still not appearing. The name is so long that it isn't appearing at the top here. Let's see if we can find out the full name. Hapoel Kfar Saba. I don't know what division they're in Israel. I'm guessing probably not the top league, hence why we were able to beat them 8-1. Little bit annoyed at the fact that they got one, but, you know, we'll give them that. Morbietta with the goal. Angel Freddy Plumain with 2, Ross McCormack with 1, Rodieger, Ruiz, Matthias Kate, who's a very, very talented young Estonian youth player we've got. And in real life, he is actually at Fulham, so he could be good for the future. And Dan Burn, the 6'7" centre-back, also scored in that game, so that's good. Shows we've got goals from all over the pitch, admittedly against a very, very low-quality opposition. I'm guessing that A. Nazareth, also Israeli, and we were able to win there as well with a goal from Hugo Rodieger, Marcelo Trotta and Ross McCormack. We did pick up a few injuries in these games, which was unfortunate, but nothing particularly long-term as far as I'm aware. We then went to Holland and were sadly defeated by ADO Den Haag. Did we score? Yes, we did score a goal. Morbietta actually got us another goal, which is great to see, because he's a centre-back, and frankly watching him in the Premier League last year was bloody useless. Our final game of the season was away at Lincoln, which we scraped through with a goal from Marcelo Trotta. Obviously, if you look at the lineups, we were massively rotating the squad just to try and get some fitness up in amongst the players, because at this stage in the season, I really had no idea who was going to play where at this stage. However, we can now go into the tactics, and I can show you the tactic we've been training. Now, you might wonder why it's so badly rated in terms of the familiarity with the tactic. This is my own mistake, because I tried to train 3 tactics at the same time, which sometimes will work, but I should have just started with this one, so at least we had one tactic that worked really, really well, ready for the start of the season. So this could come back to bite me in the butt, but we'll have to wait and see how that one goes. I wanted to see if the assistant would think the same as me about the team. Now, I don't think he does, because I personally would rather have McCormack up front than Rodiega. And Draga, see, he can play, but we're probably going to go with Adil Shihi out on the left instead of Draga, because he is a better player overall. I believe it's just because of his condition that he's a little bit. I can only assume. I don't know why he's in such poor condition. That's something we're going to have to discuss. We do need to sign another midfielder here. Ideally, I wanted to play Scott Parker as the ball-winning midfielder and have another midfielder to bomb on. We've yet to be able to find someone that can actually play. I don't know if a Draga can play in that position. He can, but not to any real level. If we just see if Zveratic can... To be fair, he's no better than Zveratic, but he is potentially a better player, so I think... that's vegan. Right, Thomas Draga. I think I'll go with Draga in that position. Ruiz as our shadow striker. I had thought about getting rid of him, but frankly he's the best player on the team and can play that role wonderfully. McCormack up front, playing the false 9 role. Rodiega coming in off the wing, although I really do want to sign another winger, because Rodiega is not a very good winger. Simple as that. He is at best a backup striker at the moment, and in fact I've got him on the transfer list trying to get rid of him, because I don't really think we need another striker like Rodiega at the moment. Of course, if Ross McCormack gets injured, I'll probably be eating my words on that particular one, but it just seems like if we could get 5 or 6 million quid for Rodiega now, then we could reinvest that potentially into a decent winger. I could have sworn I had a decent winger in this team as well, but he seems to have eluded me. Let me just see if I can... Maybe he's in the under-21s. Don't know why he would be, but you never know. We do actually have some very, very talented young players as well, which is great to see. We've got people along the lines of this guy, Thiago Casasola, who is Argentinian, who actually has signed for Fulham in real life. He is a real player. He's only 17 years old, but from what my scouts seem to think, he could be an absolutely belting player one day, but he just doesn't have that kind of level yet. So in a couple of years, he could be brilliant for us. Other players that were interesting, Thomas Eisfeld. I personally think he's a really good player, and in real life, he came through the Dortmund Youth Academy at the same time as Mario Götze and was actually rated higher than him initially. He came from Arsenal in the summer. He has a lot of potential also, but it's when we go down into the under-18, not the under-18, the under-18 side, that you really can see some excellent players. The one that we're really excited about, and I really can't wait to get going forward, is Patrick Roberts. I don't know where he is. Where is he? Patrick Roberts. Here we go, Patrick Roberts. He's not match fit yet, but he is going to be an immense player when the time comes. But that time is not just yet. And for now, we need to concentrate on our first team. But the great thing about Fulham is they do have an excellent youth academy, and so hopefully that can affect us in the future and prevent us from having to sign too many massive money players along the lines of Ross McCormack, who, as you can see from his profile on here, he's only worth 3.7 million on here at the moment, despite Fulham paying 11 million pounds in real life for him. Even though that is in instalments, it's still not a good deal. And he's only 3.5-star player on here. I mean, Fulham have a decent team, but even so, he's not that great. He's got some good stats, and hopefully for the role of shadow striker, not shadow striker, false 9, which is what we're going to be playing him in, hopefully he can play that role relatively. I mean, his stats are perfect for it. They could be better, and he has in fact got other stats that could be very, very useful for that role as well, and for other roles around that pitch. So he can not only play the false 9 role, but if he gets himself a chance to get in behind, he can score goals, he can dribble, and even can cross, which is useful. So given the way this has actually started, I'm tempted to actually put Rodiega up front and McCormack out wide, since he can play that role, or at least better than Rodiega can. So for now, that might be the way that we have to line up for this season. Right, I'm going to play this game, and I will be back in the next episode at the end of August. Hopefully we'll have made a few more signings. It's hard to tell. Hopefully we can get a good start, but I'm worried about this level of team cohesion here. We could end up starting just like Fulham have in real life, and that is not good, because I kind of want to keep the job here and not have to start this series again. So until the next time, bye-bye.